So years ago, this is like hundreds of years ago, there was a man, he was leading an organization, and he had a scheduled off-site meeting. Right, is the title of this whole thing, an off-site meeting that changed everything. He had a meeting, an off-site meeting with his key 12 executives, and he had the financial department, operations. Everyone was coming together for this off-site meeting. And they determined that they would have the off-site meeting in a restaurant. So they called ahead and said, hey, we need room for about 13 people. Could we book this, the upstairs loft area of the restaurant? And he said, well, we're kind of overstaffed tonight, or overbooked. We don't have enough of our staff, or understaffed. And but you can come. We're just not going to be able to get to you right away. We're just really booked out. So they said, that's fine. We'll have the loft upstairs, and that'll be fine. And so typically back in the day, this is a long time ago. They didn't have cars. They walked a lot. They would walk in sandals, and they get dirt on their feet and everything. And so it was actually really hard to have really executive meetings or things when it was really, really hard, when it was more of an upscale kind of a meeting, like a red carpet kind of event. Because they get dirty. They'd be walking, and they had robes. This is like medieval age, right? So they get all dirty. But at this event, it was a really pivotal time for the organization, because the entire organization was coming to a point because everyone in the organization was wanting to become the second in command for the company. And the CEO, he knew that there was all this infighting, like who was the best person for the job, who was going to become the next person in line, who was going to be the one that had they had the big bonus structure, things ready to go for whoever would get this position. And at the same time, the CFO, Chief Financial Officer at the time, was planning a mutiny against him, planning to completely undermine him because he handled the money side of things, and he kind of knew where all the money was spent, and he felt like there were some things that were wrong, and money was not being spent where it should, and he kind of felt like there was too much money being kept in the company. And so he actually started looking into the details of the organization and realizing that the leader was actually in trouble with the government, and the government actually wanted him to put him in prison because he had made riots and told people that the government, they wanted to overthrow them, and it was just super politically charged. And he was always with a lot of really just hard people. Like, you go out with people that were drinking all the time and rough life in the red light district. The leader was just kind of off the wall. And so everyone was very much against him, especially the CFO. He wanted to basically try to get him handed over to the government. So he knew a lot of the companies and the people inside the government that could help put him under arrest. And so that night, little did the CEO know that the CFO was actually planning this mutiny, and that they would set things up. The government would come in, and they would take the CEO to jail. And so because they made this meeting, they had an offsite meeting, and the CEO knew that this is a pivotal moment for the business. It's a pivotal moment for the organization. We have to get these things ironed out. There's a lot of people jostling for position. He knew that the CFO was literally just against him and had problems with the money and the taxes and the government that was there, and he knew all this was happening. So they come to the restaurant, and they go upstairs, and again, because they were understaffed in the restaurant, there was no one there to wash their feet. So typically you'd come into a restaurant back in the day when you would walk on the roads and things, you're so dusty. So at these nice restaurants, like you should have for your offsite meetings, nice restaurants, let's go. So when you go there, they would typically have someone that would wash their feet. Now typically back in the day, this would be a slave. This would be someone like the very bottom of the totem pole. Like the worst job was the foot wash flunky, the guy that had to wash everyone's feet when they walked in the door. Because there wasn't just dirt. There was also horse manure and everything else, because they were walking on these roads. These were not asphalt. These were dirt roads. They were going through years and years ago, just very old times. And so literally, they all sit down for dinner. The CEO's there. They're all starting to break bread and starting to eat. And the CEO gets up out of his chair, goes and gets the towel, and he grabs a little jug of water, and he literally starts taking their feet and washing their feet. And his chief operating officer at the time, he's like, what are you doing? That is the worst thing that an owner and a CEO can do. You're literally, you know what's going on here, Everyone's in upheaval, and here you are like washing people's feet. Like, what in the world are you doing? It's like the most menial, that's what a slave does. And he literally is like, no, you're not washing my feet, dude. You're not doing this. That is so beyond you and so below what you should be doing as the leader. And some of you might have picked up on it. But that event that night was considered the Last Supper. And that CEO's name was Jesus of Nazareth. And regardless of what your religion is or what you think about religion, that night exemplified truly what servant leadership is. Because that night, in the midst of Jesus knowing that everyone in his organization at the top, his executive team was against him, there was people jostling for position, he exemplified what a true leader does. The first and foremost, he was willing to serve and humble himself. He was willing to do what no one else was willing to do. And I'm flabbergasted by the owner that would think that they expect their employees to work as hard and crush hours and do 50, 60 hours, and they've never done it themselves. And they show up at 9 and 10 o'clock and leave at 3 and 4, and the guys are getting back to the shop with photos on Instagram of you on a boat while they were just working till 7, 8 o'clock at night. You are not a leader. A leader humbles themselves, is willing to get dirty, is willing to get on their knees in front of their team and ask for forgiveness and humble themselves. And furthermore, not only was he humble, he was passionate, because that night, not only did he have something that he was preaching or something he was saying, something that he was telling the followers that he had to do, not only that, he was willing to die for what he believed in. And most of us have a vision no further than our shadow that we would not be willing to give an ounce of energy, time, and effort towards. And in low lows, we'd simply throw in the towel when at the lowest point in time, he had so much passion, he was willing to give his life for it. That's what a leader does. And a business is so minuscule, so tiny to the responsibility of you as a leader, as a parent, you inside of a church. And here we are looking at the leader of a church, which, by the way, has outlasted the Roman Empire. And to this day, millions of people follow him. And every single day, thousands of people start to follow this leader. And he died thousands of years ago. And for most of us in this room, myself included, within 1 year of us dying, no one would remember the things that we did, what we said, or the impact that we had. Why? Because you're not a leader. And the vision that you have is so tiny. And the size of business that you believe you should build is so below your personal capacity and how many jobs you could create and what you could create for your church and your family and for your community, that there's nothing to be remembered for. There's no one that wants to follow a leader that has no vision. Outlasted the Roman Empire. To this day, thousands still follow him. And the 11 executives in that room, every single one, besides John, every single one, 11 of them died because of the cause that man stood for. That's what a leader is willing to do. You not only give up their own life, but the people that follow them follow the vision so much so that they're willing to die for it. So you want people to die for my business? No, that's what I'm saying. I'm exemplifying the furthest extent of what a leader does. And someone who leads with vision, people will follow you into battle in order to get things done. People will work the extra hours without you forcing them, without you telling them you're the boss, without you giving them an incentive, without you trying to get passionate and motivating them. They'll follow you because of vision and what you want the business to become and what you want the business to be able to do in your community and what you see the business being able to give opportunity to people that would otherwise not have it. That's what they'll buy into. That's what they'll follow you for. And that's why they're leaving you now for that extra 50 cents down the road, is because there's no vision inside of your company. I encourage you today, stay calm, stay in control, and stay focused on the mission. That night, his CFO came and betrayed him and turned him into the government. And he literally said to him, "Do what's in your heart quickly. Get this over with. Let's go. Do it. Let's do this." At his lowest point, he said, "I'm committed. Let's do this. I'm all in." And he knew what was going to happen Because moments before, he stepped aside and he talked to the one person that he could actually have some solace in. And he prayed to his Father, please, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to go through the depths of this despair. I don't want to go through this low moment. This is not fun. And guess what? A leader doesn't do that in front of their team. Because the next moment, he walked over to his disciples, the leaders of his organization, and he was calm, collected, and said, this is happening. Let's go. Let's do this. Calm, collective, unemotional decision-making in the heat of battle, when everything's against you, adversity all around you, and he knew he was about to die and go through the most torturous death imaginable. And he was able to stand there and have a vision so clear that the people that he would impact that night would die for that vision. Thank you all so much. I hope that this conference is a moment like Jesus had that night. And I don't mean to make this super spiritual or you think this is so great or amazing about leadership. That's not my goal. I'm taking the most extreme so that hopefully it inspires you to take one step more closer towards vision instead of positional authority, incentive, and force. And what I hope this conference is for and why we do this, because we don't make money, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of pressure on us. The reason we do this is because, like Jesus that night, before a very low moment, he stepped aside from his team and he went and talked to someone that he could have solace in. And tonight, at lunch, and throughout this weekend, I hope you're able to talk to the people in this room and you say what you're going through. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and that's fine. Because in the lowest low, as he was sitting there and kneeling down, and blood was pouring out of his pores because of the pressure and intense heat that he was under in that moment, he stayed committed to the vision and did not throw in the towel. And as minuscule as this seems compared to that massive sacrifice, you in your business are likely to experience that moment in 2023 and 2024 for the first time. And I encourage you during that moment to exemplify those attributes of a leader that stays focused on the vision, why you started your business, and what it can do in the future. And the team that will surround you will buy into the vision, and that alone will be the long-term focus and the thing that keeps them around.